This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 29.
Welcome to the show that focuses on helping real estate agents build a bulletproof business plan so that they can sell more properties in less time and live a more fulfilled life.
Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then you're definitely in the right place. Hey, I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action, right now, to build a better real estate agent business, I've created a free jumpstart course for you over at freeagentgift.com. Now, if you're a veteran, these are good bones to check against all the time. And if you're a rookie, I don't think you can live without this. So get started there. I wish I had it at the start of my career. In this episode, what I want to talk about is why you must, and that is a capital M-U-S-T, why you must organize your systems. All right. So I know what that's going to provoke in the very beginning is what systems? What are you talking about? I just do what I do. And I recognize that in a lot of top producers. When I begin to coach top producers who first come to me, I just say to them, well, tell me what you do. Well, I don't know. I just do what I do and I sell properties. They've never really sat down and thought about it. So the first point here is to observe. Observe how your business produces results already. Now, if you're a rookie, go observe other people who are already producing results. Stalk them in a healthy way, he said. Pay attention to what they do. Meaning, if you're at a big brokerage and you joined it and they told you about all the top producers, ask, well, how do they do what they do? And if you can't get a clear answer from the person themselves, then just watch them. Observe what they do. What are their habits? When do they come in? Do they repeat certain things? Because what I think you're going to recognize about anybody who does well at something, even if they can't articulate it, is that they are following a systematic approach. Now, for most people that were never taught to start with the bones of a system, we just sort of fall into a rhythm. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was really hoping to find a system early in my business. I've told you many times on this podcast, I went out looking for help in the form of a book or something else that would lay out a plan for me, only to find out that the resources were extremely limited and I couldn't find one. That's why I do the work that I do for you here. So the point is, that systematic approach is just, you can find it in the word routine. What's the routine of the person who's getting the results that you would like to get? And if you're that person getting those results, look, it's important to start to systematize yourself. So start with observing. What do you do? Now, the next point is, okay, great. I'm sitting here observing what I do and I see my routines every day. Now what? Memorialize. That's the next key point here. What I did about 5 years ago for the first time was I really sat down and I mind mapped out my processes, what I was really doing. Now, I had a great mentor who followed systems and processes, but those were his, meaning he had them well developed and he had multiple people working in those processes. For each of us individually, even if you're learning from somebody that's already systematically approaching the business, you have to begin to memorialize for yourself what you're doing. Now, again, our model here at the TRC talks about modules. So you'd be mind mapping out what you do for marketing. You'd be mind mapping out what you do for conversion, for closing, and for past client community follow-up. And then if you're like me, you're adding the fifth one for expansion. So those are the managed areas, but you can't become a manager of processes unless you're memorializing them. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go out and get software to do it necessarily. How about you just jot down what you do and then continue to edit that on a legal pad until the order is correct. This is what you actually do. And I think what's staggering and sometimes staggeringly obvious to you is that, oh my gosh, I do things pretty well here and they're organized, but why am I doing that in this order? Why don't I reorganize it? This doesn't make sense. See, the act of memorializing or mind mapping out your steps or your processes demonstrates to you in a very visual way what you're doing. And then when you see it as a mind map or a flow chart, all of a sudden it doesn't make exact sense as being best practices. So you make those tweaks and those refinements and you make your process what? Better. So these first two steps here, and I know a lot of you say the number one problem is time management. Think of what I'm going on here is this organization of systems is time management. First, observe how you or a top producer already does it, and then memorialize it in a mind map. Now, mind mapping will become very, not complex to the extent that you can't understand it easily, but it will become very involved because this is a very involved business. Meaning once you start to really mind map out, and I'll just give you some structure here. In my mind map for marketing, I have Dan Kennedy's simple triangular formula where I say market, to whom, and where are they? Message. What am I going to say to them to begin the conversation? Not some hokey USP, but just how do I begin the conversation as a professional? And then last, mediums upon which I will deliver that message. But man, does that get complex and complicated as you start to think through it and you observe from the real world how things really work. So going back to that first point on observation, what actually works is most important. See, in our business, and I have to be careful of this as a coach in the industry, there's a lot of guessing, I guess is the nicest way to put it, on how this will work in the field. There's a lot of pontification from the soapbox from all the gurus about how this would work. And most of them have never gone in the field and sold everything. God bless you, boys and gals, for going out there and teaching. But I'm sorry, if you haven't been in the octagon with real buyers and sellers, you don't really know what's working unless you're watching and observing somebody very closely that you're coaching and they're harvesting real results. So any of you can self-teach. Go out and try things like open houses. Go out and show your friends property. Go out and do the CMA for your friends and family. All that close-knit stuff first. That observation will lead to memorializing what actually did work and what didn't. Okay? Now, once this all starts to come down into these memorialized mind maps, guess what you have? A systematic mind map to follow. It's a system. I don't even need to get into things that I use like Infusionsoft or other lead capture softwares. Those are the tools of the trade. But the memorialization of the mind map and the processes, once it's there, you're systematized. Even if you just printed it out and you followed it each and every time that you were marketing yourself, that you were following up with leads, prospects, and clients, that you were going through a closing process, that you were sending out your past client gifts and market updates. It's all been systematically put in front of you in a mind map that you can simply follow each and every month, day, week, whatever it is, whatever that leads to. But that leads to point number 3. Once you have these systems, you have to calendar or block the time to do these tasks. That's the key. See, it's actually quite easy and fun once you start to do the first steps, observing and memorializing, but then you got to put your boots on and you got to go to work. You actually have to block the time to do the tasks. Now, over the years, all my coaching students are familiar with the term that I've used, DPPO 20. I remember watching P90X. I've been a health fanatic most of my life, and I wanted to try something different, and I went to P90X, and it was a system. I use Body for Life still to this day. It's a system. I like systems because what it allows me to do as a busy guy and a father of 5 is still calendar in that time for myself and my health and fitness. Well, if you're going to do that with health and fitness, why wouldn't you be most concerned about calendaring the time to do your marketing and follow your system, to do your conversion and follow your system? You see where I'm going, right? You have to know when you're going to do this stuff. So going back to DPPO, I came up with a calendar for people to say, look, let's not get overwhelmed here. Once you've memorialized your steps, block some basic time. And let's just take it part-time. Let's not overwhelm anybody. Let's make this almost so difficult to explain away that shame on you if you can't do this. So what I said was the 20 with a number of hours that you had to work on business building steps. I mean, this is the stuff that if you don't do this, you're not even in the game. You're out there in fairyland, right? D was building the database, taking the time to go out and market, bring names and contacts into the database. P was all about making the phone calls and follow up, talking to these people that are in the database, helping them, serving them, bringing them more information. And then P was really presenting yourself now that it's appropriate, now that you've built relationship, being in front of people, giving presentations about your buyer course, your seller course, and if you're recruiting your agent course, and then ultimately getting in the field and writing offers. You're nowhere if you're not out there. And so those were the basics that I wanted to chunk up for people. And I said, look, if you would spend a little bit of time each day on each one of those. And for me, it was a 5-day work week. I took the 9 to 5 mentality. And I know. Real estate's all about the weekends. I get it. But I was just trying to prove a point here with calendaring time by saying, let's just treat it like it's a job that you have to go to and punch the clock and build in the discipline. Could you do it for 20 hours a week? Could you do it for 20 hours a week? If you can't, then you have a real problem with calendaring anything and disciplining anything. So it's really mastering that obvious 20 hours to do those basic tasks. The cool thing about this is, listen to this, right? If you're not out there writing offers, that means you're not presenting enough. So you go backwards to that step. If you're not presenting enough, you're not making enough follow-up phone calls to all the people in your database. And if there's nobody to call, you haven't done enough marketing to bring new contact information in. And marketing includes things like open houses, attending events, whatever. Any way that you can exchange your business card or a conversation for their information so that you can follow up. So it works backwards. So you'd spend 20 hours a week building your database if that's all you had. Then that would lead to some follow-up and you could start to reschedule the time. You get the point, okay? 20 hours calendared, doing the basic. It leaves you 20 other hours just to get to a full-time job of doing whatever chaotic work you need to do. And I know that this business, or any small business for that matter, creates at least 20 hours of chaos and then some. But see, I have you painted into a corner now, because I've had you calendar only 20 hours. If you can't do that, shame on you. Let's get to work here and get serious about this business. The final point here is leveraging. Once we have observed, memorialized, and calendared the time, then you can begin to get leverage by delegating your micro tasks away to people. Now, again, this is assuming that you have some action and you're into that 20 hours of chaos that the good, solid calendared 20 hours has brought you, meaning you're babysitting a buyer who's having a meltdown because it's almost time to move and their loan is a little bit sketchy, whatever the case is. Now you can say, oh my gosh, I'm looking back at my mind map and, who's helping with my social media posts, who's helping with the development of my marketing pieces. Those are just a couple of quick answers or micro problems that come up. But in this day and age, the coolest thing is I love Upwork.com and sites like that. I use 99designs.com, Upwork.com, all these places where I can go and say, okay, my time is much more valuable in that calendared block of time to keep things flowing. So I'm going to delegate away this task to this micro person who's an independent contractor on this platform where I can post my job and they can babysit, making sure it gets done on time. Fabulous, huh? The digital age, leveraging the micro tasks first. The concept of going out and having to get really successful first to, get an employee or a full-time independent contractor, those days are over as the first piece of advice I give most agents. Certainly, I have my key macro independent contractors, Laura, my inside sales executive administrator extraordinaire with us for 12 years, does a fabulous job, and she is the macro leverage because she runs our whole conversion module. I actually work for her as an outside sales agent once people are bubbled up. So leverage is what comes next. Now, one more final point on leverage. Clearly, once you've memorialized those mind maps, if you can put them into softwares, and there's a lot of great ones out there. I am a huge fan of Infusionsoft because it allows me to take my creative brain and mind map these things out the way I want and put them in there. But there are other preset softwares for CRM especially, lead capture especially, that are out there that already do a good job. I'm not going to get down that rabbit hole today and tell you which ones I think are better for you or not. That's for you to decide. But you can get plenty of leverage out out of softwares that are already pre-programmed to do a lot of what you'll find is universally mind mapped out for processes in our business, especially the closing process. You should be getting help with that almost from day one. All right, let's chunk this up. So, first point, you want to observe how your business produces results. Second point, you want to memorialize and mind map out your processes. Third point, you want a calendar, block the time to do the tasks. And the fourth point is leverage, delegate all these micro tasks away. There's some fabulous sites out there we can find super people who are far better at these micro tasks than you. And the key point here is end the chaos in your business by memorializing and improving what works. Now remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free video course over at freeagentgift.com. That'll also put you on the list to receive these podcasts on a regular basis so you can keep learning. Don't stop. Please don't stop learning, whether it's from me or any of the other great teachers in this industry. Always be learning, ABL. And of course, if you like what you learned here, then we'd appreciate it if you would share these insights with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you so that they can find their way to join us right here. And of course, don't forget to subscribe or follow us on whichever platform you're listening, and a positive review is always appreciated. Thank you. We also broadcast our live sales training on Facebook every Friday at 1 p.m. EDT. I'm telling you, I give it away for free. You can hear me coaching people as they struggle through what to say on the inside sale and on the outside sale. Good stuff over there. And all those are recorded and they're waiting for you to see them now. We leave them up there. So remember, get over there and like our page and you'll be notified every time we go live. Hey, thanks for listening. I really appreciate your time and we look forward to helping you in the next episode.
You've been listening to The Realty Classroom with Danny Griffin. Join us next time to continue learning how to build a smarter real estate agent business plan that helps you live a more fulfilled life.